soft, turn the key and cooler off.
Hi, welcome back to my channel for another video. This is the last video in the Taylor Swift project, at least the painting process portion. I will still have one more final video coming out when I finish all 12 paintings, and I will show each of those paintings and talk about the whole project and all my thoughts and feelings about it and what I've learned, and that'll come out as soon as all the paintings are done, and all of the paintings will be available for sale on my website. If you didn't know, I'm abstract painting all of the Taylor Swift album covers. I have all the others linked below in a playlist. So thank you for following along on this project. And let's get into the video for 1989 and Reputation.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Summer love.
Okay, so I'm beginning this painting the way that I've begun most of the paintings in this series, and that is by roughly sketching the composition onto the canvas using oil pastels. And I'm sort of using the colors that I think I might use, although I can change the colors and composition at any point. After I've roughly sketched out the composition and just gotten something down on the canvas just to kind of loosen up and give me something to respond to, then I come in with my golden white heavy-bodied acrylic paint and cover it up for the most part, although I can still see it behind the scenes. And now I am coming in with some acrylic ink and kind of sketching on top of that, and we'll see where it goes from here.
And tell me all that you've seen, all the colors. Summer love. Memories washed in every shade of green and all the colors. Summer love.
So now I'm just spreading the ink around the canvas. I spread the blue around using a foam brush, and now I'm using a long, thin paintbrush for the yellow. And I'm really just experimenting with color and shape and sort of in the back of my mind thinking about the composition, sort of borrowing a little bit from both versions of 1989 album cover. And I'm just really kind of playing and experimenting and just kind of going with what feels good and hoping that eventually things will come together.
That's sure something I could use. A cure for the air conditioning blues. Good to use some too. A little bit of summer
So now I have flipped the canvas upside down, which is a great thing to do when you just want a new perspective. And I'm applying some like taupe color to the canvas using a palette knife. And now once again, I have flipped the canvas again the other direction. And I'm still applying that taupey color, sort of just to tone down all the colors that were there, make them more subtle. But I'm applying a foam brush at this point. And here I've gone again and flipped it one more time. And you can tell that I'm really in the zone, applying that soft taupey color. And I'm just sort of rotating the foam brush and using different techniques and really just mellowing everything out to kind of give it that sort of ethereal quality. And now I'm coming in with a paintbrush with some purplish lavender color, and I'm just going to continue to add and subtract until I arrive at my desired result, which is a huge part of my process. Now I'm working on Taylor's lips another time, and I think I end up adding and subtracting the lips until I get them right, like 3 or 4 times on this album cover. And although I'm trying to make it abstract and not super literal, I do feel like the color pop with her lips is so iconic that I definitely want to include it as part of the painting. But it takes me a while to get it right, so you'll see me add and subtract them quite a few times. I'm not trying to make everything perfect and look exactly like her, but I just want the shape to be right, the proportions to be right. And so that's what I'm working on here with a paintbrush and some really thick acrylic paint. And in order to kind of fix some areas where the paint kind of was there too much, I'm putting some white acrylic around with a foam brush.
I'm hushing the dog on the chain. I'm running up stones on the edge of the bank. Rally the troops for another refrain. I sing this softly to myself.
This is the moment that the painting started to turn around for me. With all of the lip frustration, I just decided to kind of take a break from it and focus on some other areas of the painting. And something just inspired me to add some little charcoal birds, like very subtly. I think I only added like 4 of them in just the right spot. And I'm looking at the Taylor's version 1989 album cover, like while I'm doing it, and something about it just changed the feeling of the painting for me, and it just felt like they were in the perfect spot, and I just love using charcoal. And so that's what I did, and things start to turn around, although I will still continue to work on the lips a few more times here.
Tore up my jeans on the fence. This iron road I cannot bend, but my walking is lighter when I walk with a friend. I sing this softly to myself. I sing this softly to myself. I'm waking up.
This right here is a good example of how sometimes paintings can arrive at its finished point very effortlessly, and other times there is a lot of trial and error involved, a lot of back and forth, adding, subtracting, covering up, even just taking a complete step back, letting it set aside for a couple days. This happens, and I purposely wanted to leave this in to show that. So just in case you're learning to paint or already a painter or whatever, like you can just relate to this, because not everything just happens magically and beautifully and flows perfectly. And some paintings take a little more work, and it takes a little bit of time until you get to that point where you're like, okay, I am overcoming the obstacle, and now I'm on the right path. And it might happen a few times during a painting. And so I just wanted to share this and keep that in, just to keep it real. And this is actually another moment right here where it starts to turn around, when I sort of add the jawline with some acrylic ink. And it just really kind of centers things for me and helps me to realize that I was putting the lips way too up high. That's why it wasn't working. Just because that's initially where I had put them based on my initial sketch. And eventually I realized that they needed to be a heck of a lot lower to make the whole composition work. And so this just to say, sometimes it takes a little while. And this also inspires me to add this sort of like turtleneck here with the blue. And like I said, it's not literal to either of the album covers. It's kind of a mixture of both. But yeah, it's still a work in progress, but this is how it looks now. Okay, so I'm beginning this painting by looking at the cover of the album, and I am using oil pastels to roughly sketch out the composition, just like I've been doing. And this particular painting, the result comes out very, very interesting. I hope you enjoy watching the process, because I add in a little mixed media, and at first I stick pretty close to the album cover, and at the end I just kind of like mess it all up. I'm saying that in quotes because it ends up looking really cool at the end. It's not all the way finished yet, but I will begin finishing it this week, and all of the paintings will be released pretty soon, so I'm excited about that. This is the very last one in the series right here. So I hope you enjoy watching this one unfold.
Kind of mysterious, shaded with someone I'm not really into. Do you need to fix it? Talking bullshit. It's hard to see you when your eyes look dull. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna make song on a rerun. Are you hound dog tired singing all night long? Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna make you not blue? Not blue. Not blue dew, blue moon, been one or two since I ran into you. Do you need a picture? Well, that gets old. It's hard to take one when your iPhone's full. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna make you not blue? Not blue. Not blue.
And this is the part where I begin to add in a little mixed media using some collage paper, and I apply it with a Liquitex medium varnish. And this is something that I used to do all the time a long time ago when I was first really getting into painting. Is I did a lot of mixed media, and I've just been feeling called to start bringing it in again. So I'm excited. This is the only painting in this series that actually has any collage paper, so this ended up to be really fun, and I like how it turned out. Okay, so here's where the painting gets interesting. I felt myself moving towards it being too literal, just like the Lover album turned out. So I decided, you know what, let me turn it upside down and let me just start messing it up and making a bunch of moves with a bunch of different techniques. And so you'll see that unfold here, and I actually really like how it came out. remember when I was learning to intuitive paint, there was a concept that I learned from one of my teachers that was, don't be afraid to give up good for great. And because it's just paint, you don't have to be afraid to mess something up. More often than not, when you actually do loosen up and kind of paint over something, it actually opens up the painting into a whole new way, and it ends up being something a lot better and a lot more interesting, especially with this kind of process and this kind of artwork. So yeah, I just want to say to anybody who's watching, to not be afraid to make some bold moves and really experiment with your artwork, because more often than not, you're going to get a good result. And if you don't get the best result, you will at least learn something in the process, because if you always just play it safe, then you're really never going to push your boundaries to the next level.
Thank you for watching this video on 1989 and Reputation, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Come on, stop, turn the key and cool.